The Xbox E3 show hit hard, and we got a ton of cool stuff we were not expecting. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on GameRanx, the 10 biggest surprises of Xbox E3 2021. Starting off with number 10, we have Forza Horizon 5. Now, we're just gonna basically dive right in and say, holy crap, look at the visuals for this game. It is incredible looking. It is ray tracing enabled, and just look what the cars, the visuals on the cars are insane. Like off-road vehicles, look at the dirt, look at the way that everything affects the cars. But beyond that, there's really a great variety of, well, not just the cars, but even environments. Look at it. It's set in Mexico. It's the most diverse and largest setting they've ever had in one of these games. There's deserts, coastal towns, large colonial looking cities, but we're seeing like rainforests, volcanoes. Like, look at the individual needles on the sequoia cactus, in all seriousness. And as long as we're on variety, we were talking about what the cars look like, but there's a ton of good visual variety just in vehicle types, even if it's not necessarily anything. It's using volumetric lighting, which looks really good, might I add. We do have some interesting stuff to look forward to in terms of non-visual, like mechanical elements of the game. The campaign mode, for instance, has you exploring new locations. It expands the Forza Festival. It's got a bit of an adventure focus. We did see some pretty cool staged gameplay stuff showing some different environments. Apparently, they used photogrammetry data to make these things, meaning it's kind of visually scanned assets inside the game. There is an open world battle royale mode called the Eliminator. I mean, there's just tons of stuff to talk about. Probably most interesting is this event lab, this tool set to make your own gameplay, races, all different types of things. Kind of similar to the creator setting in GTA Online, except for in Forza, which is just an awesome addition. This could end up being probably one of the best Forza games, period. I'm super interested. At number 9 is Outerworlds 2. It was just a silly trailer that doesn't really show us anything, but it did do a great job of making fun of overblown game reveals that don't actually show anything because the developers don't have a game to show. It comes off extra cutting compared to some of the other trailers that were revealed during this presentation. Like, we just had people running, slow-mo, this is a little too real, blah sound, epic shot of the world, lens flares, and it's nothing. Just a CGI reveal of basically a name with a little more character than usual, but otherwise it's Outer Worlds, and that's pretty much it. We don't have a release date. Unfortunately, we don't even have any more information. I loved Outer Worlds though, so it's hard for me to be like, oh, you could have done more. If this is what they have, this is what they have. I'm happy we're getting more of the game. At number 8 is Replaced, which is a sci-fi platformer where you're playing as an artificial intelligence, which is, I think, a wonderful irony for a game. Instead of complaining about artificial intelligence, you have to be an artificial intelligence. That's fun. Obviously, it doesn't really matter, though, because it's a platformer. Ultimately, you're going to be a jumping character, one way or the other. So it's got this really unique visual style, though. It's got really impressive animation, incredible effects, detailed sprites, and it's got these really cool 3D backgrounds. There's some action elements, some platforming, there is combat. Story kind of seems like it would be something around the area of Katana Zero, but it's not really fully known how combat is gonna work out. So the shooting stuff kind of looks like an in-game cutscene, but they put enough focus on it that maybe that's at least an indication of how combat works. It's hard to say at this point, but it is one of the most impressive looking lo-fi indie games, and that stuff makes me interested. I am so curious to find out more. It's apparently going to land in 2022. At number 7 is A Plague Tale Requiem. Wow, something messed up is happening with Hugo, the kid with the plague powers in the first game. It looks a lot like this is a direct sequel. Like, the voice in the trailer is Amica, the girl you play as in the first game, and she's still facing the rat plague. The dialogue implies, though, that Hugo is responsible for it, but there's a lot of stuff shown. Like, there's a ton of new characters, there's potential allies, enemies. Plague Tale was a huge surprise for us. We were so pleased with it. It's a great game, so I kind of just can't wait to see what they do here. We didn't actually see any gameplay, though. It was really epic, but just a CGI trailer. So, I mean, the plot stuff is interesting, and it certainly did get me going, oh, more Plague Tale. Yeah, I'll take that. Again, this one is a 2022 release. We're looking forward. And number 6 is Somerville. This is a cinematic platformer, kind of in the same vein as the games that are like Inside, maybe even a little bit of a Little Nightmares vibe to it. Not necessarily that exact type of thing, though. It's a strange looking world, and it's really interesting that there's a family here instead of just one guy, because it makes the implication, or at least to me, that part of the game revolves around protecting this family. You might think that this is a new game from the developers of Inside, but the art style is strikingly similar. The tone just looks a lot wilder. Like, did you see the guy flipping out shooting lasers everywhere? Like, what is with that, really? I don't know, but it does look like something that is going to be worth following, finding out more about. I very much enjoyed Inside. I thought it was a different looking, but familiar enough type game with an intriguing plot that it gave me a lot of enjoyment. I'll definitely be keeping up with this one. This one could be good. At number 5 is Contraband. This is a collaboration between Avalanche, who's best known for the Just Cause games, and Xbox Game Studio. It is a co-op open world game. It is interesting looking, but very mysterious. It kind of has a bit of a heist vibe, so I'm kind of thinking that might be the point of the game. Like, I'm leading towards that because a prominent thing they showed in the trailer is like a plan, perhaps a blueprint, a planning map of some kind. I don't know exactly what it is, but it definitely makes me think like we're talking about making and executing plans, which, judging by all of our aesthetics and things going on, possibly a heist game. I hope so. Honestly, I really enjoy heist games. It's called Contraband too, so like something is illicit about it, it seems like. Also, there's somebody working on a mud-covered car, so I feel like it's probably safe to assume the game takes place in some kind of tropical setting, or at least a mostly rural setting. So on that level, it looks different, and if it's a heist game, it's definitely one that doesn't seem like every other one. And there aren't really a lot of those, to be completely clear. Not enough, anyway. At number 4 is some Battlefield gameplay that we got to see, which is, by the way, the only game we are talking about today that is not on the Xbox Game Pass, which is insane. Like, if anything, that's kind of the actual big advantage. But Battlefield, it's obviously a big thing. We got pre-alpha gameplay, so it's pretty darn impressive. They're obviously trying to make the game look as exciting as possible. So we did get some overblown stuff, but some is pretty promising, like piloting vehicles, like tanks and helicopters. There's a grappling hook, which seems to be making its way into a lot of FPS games since Doom Eternal. Not complaining though, love good grappling hooks. Looks like an attachment for weapons specifically though, can't say for sure. There's a giant sandstorm, there's tanks dropping, the environment changes significantly with each effect. All the sand covering the city street like only appears after the storm passes through, for instance. There's a wingsuit, a parachute, might be a special piece of equipment, might not. Makes me think of Just Cause a lot though. But on top of sandstorms, there's also tornadoes, which by the way, look hilarious. Like this looks like a gloriously chaotic game, which is actually kind of not a direction that I would have expected, but I'm happy for. I'm interested to see more. At number 3 is Redfall, which is an Arcane game. It is an Xbox exclusive. Honestly, I thought they were talking about Deathloop again, but this seems to be a completely new game. It's an open world co-op shooter that you can play by yourself, but the trailer kind of really strongly emphasizes co-op. So maybe in single player you get AI teammates. I don't really know exactly, but it looks like there's 4 characters with different powers. An invisible guy with a sort of bird companion who's a really good sniper. A robot drone person. A girl with lift and push powers, like she can create an elevator looking thing that lets people jump higher, and an umbrella power that pushes away enemies. Then there's like a scientist guy with like a stake gun. Oh, the stake gun makes sense, by the way, because there are vampires in this. The vampires seem to have quite a few different supernatural powers and seem to definitely be the most dangerous things you deal with. It actually gives some Back for Blood vibes in its presentation, but apparently it is open world. Nothing we saw was apparently in game though, so it was just kind of an impression of what the game will be like. It's Arcane, so I feel like we have to deal with supernatural powers and stealth, but who really knows? It is coming in summer 22. I'm excited. I'm an Arcane fanboy, so yeah. At number 2 is Stalker 2, which, I mean, obviously it's a Stalker game. It does really, really look impressive in 4K resolution with ray tracing. I know it'll look better when we're not watching it through a stream too, but that's going to be launching next year as an Xbox and PC exclusive. The trailer was entirely in Russian, which was really cool. We got to see stuff like attaching a silencer, which I think is trying to tell us that you can put on attachments on the fly. There's various Stalker classic type anomalies with a new anomaly detector. You have throwing bolts, and apparently that can be used to see anomaly effects. Your character seems to be named Skiff. He mentions the scientists from the older game. It shows a bloodsucker fight. They look, I mean, just as nasty in this game. We're considering the possibility with each other at gameranx at the moment that the main character from the first game, Straylock, is the villain in this one. The design is different, but them talking about the power plant kind of suggests they might be. It's a wild guess, and I could be totally wrong, but at least I'm on record if I was right. It mentions that the zone gave him life, and he's talking about her, which probably means the power plant. Release date is 28th of April 2022, so we got a ways to go, but honestly, this was really interesting to me, as well as really visually impressive. At number 1, it is Starfield, something we wanted to hear more anything about for quite a while now. The first thing finally has been shown. It looks like it's going to be Xbox and PC exclusive because they showed Xbox Series X and S as well as PC gaming as the platforms and no other ones. But otherwise, we only kind of got hints at what could possibly be in the game. It looks a little bit more science-based and realistic than I thought it would be, kind of NASA design aesthetic. Might have been an in-engine cutscene, but does look like in-game footage. There's a robot on the planet's surface. It gets into the ship before takeoff. They showed it prominently at the splash at the end too, so it must be important in some way. Keep your eye on that thing. The base outside the ship doesn't seem to be occupied. Like, there's no signs of anyone else there, and the planet's really empty, so it could be kind of a player-made base of some kind. We got a release date, which I did not think was going to happen. I thought we were going to see some about the game, but apparently it's coming 11/11 of 22, which is funny because 11 plus 11 is 22. Also, if you recall, 11/11 of 11 was when Skyrim came out. I don't know, maybe they know they have something special here and are trying to remind us that that could be a momentous occasion. It's literally 10 years to the day after the release of Skyrim, so couple bonuses for you, like we got a flight sim expansion coming, Top Gun crossover. Microsoft Flight Simulator is landing on Xbox Series X and S on July 27th. Atomic Heart, the BioShock-like taking place in the USSR in an alternate history, will be day one on Game Pass. An Age of Empires release date, which is, I mean, it's been so long since Age of Empires, it's great to have a new game. Looks like the Mongols, the English, like Joan of Arc is probably a campaign. It looks like classic gameplay. It's awesome to have the series back for real. October 28th is when that is hitting. We also got information on Halo multiplayer, which is 120 frames per second. The multiplayer and campaign will launch together. Multiplayer is free to play, which is really cool. Again, grappling hooks, that's great. There's some new powers like shields, new weapons like this spear thing. Apparently, teams can call in ordnance drops. It looks like an all-around really cool time. That is all for today. Like, really hell of a show. Microsoft came out swinging, but what did you think? Leave us a comment. Let us know. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. Click subscribe. Don't forget to enable all notifications. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.